Now, Mary, the relationship between yourselves and the BDS, I mean, it is quite a tense one. Is this not just another case of, I mean, I guess what some people might see as mudslinging between the two groups?
It's not mudslinging, unfortunately, Nick. You know, at a jazz concert at Wits University last year, um, members of BDS were heard and recorded singing Shoot the Jew.
Mm.
And subsequent to that event, Mohammed Desai, who's the coordinator of BDS South Africa, condoned the singing of Shoot the Jew. So it's mudslinging, it is definitely not. If BDS considers it's okay to sing Shoot the Jew and to chant slogans of that nature, it's a real problem. And it's an organization that espouses to be a human rights organization, but we don't see it that way at all. And their actions certainly don't speak to any human rights activities.
Mary, there's obviously a bigger picture here, judging by the recent Woolworth saga. Are the relations between the Muslim and Jewish communities in South Africa, is it getting more tense? I mean, generally South Africa, the relationship between the two groups has been largely peaceful over the years.
You know, I think on face value, going about our daily business, Muslims and Jews coexist very happily in South Africa. As you say, there's always been a sort of cordial relationship, and in some cases, people have very close business relationships. We live amongst each other. The tension in the Middle East, and obviously when there is conflict, and this Operation Protective Edge last year created an enormous spike in anti-Semitic incidents in the country, and obviously tensions within groups in the country that are emotionally tied to the region. You mentioned the Woolworths incident, and that's a perfect case in point where, in fact, BDS are endorsing the placing of a pig's head in Woolworths. Now, I can't for the life of me understand, and I think we all know where it's going, that a pig's head in Woolworths has absolutely nothing to do with conflict in the Middle East. We believe in two-state solution, 2 states for 2 people, thriving, living side by side. That's not going to be achieved by placing a pig's head in what was perceived to be the kosher section of a Woolworths store. So BDS's motives around achieving a peaceful solution are dubious as far as we're concerned. They're supposed to be interested in the peaceful outcome and the best outcome for the Palestinian people. The only way, as South Africans, we know that was achieved in our country was by all the people, the relevant stakeholders sitting around the table, engaged in often difficult dialogue to achieve the best outcome for our country. And that's what we as South Africans should be proposing, supporting, encouraging both sides, both the Israeli and the Palestinian Authority, to at all times engage in a peaceful dialogue process. Pig's heads in Woolworths and taking cheap shots at the local Jewish community is never going to achieve that outcome. It just imports the conflict onto our shores and creates tension between our communities that you mentioned earlier. That's the last thing that we as South African Jews want, and that we're working around the clock to avoid that situation spiraling into anything that is worse than we need.
I mean, from the outset, it seems like the BDS are constantly on the offensive and the South African Jewish Board of Deputies are always on the defensive. Is that the case in reality?
When you say offensive and defensive, we're not looking to create any kind of conflict in South Africa.
No,
I
sure.
guess there's no discussion for us. We obviously are compelled as the civil rights organization defending the civil liberties of the Jewish community in South Africa. We're compelled to deal with each incident as it arises. But for us, we want to go about our business as engaged South African Jews, doing the best we can to build our own beautiful country, to be involved in our own democracy, and to, wherever possible, encourage in the Middle East situation the best outcome for Israel and the Palestinian people. So we're not involved on a proactive lobbying or advocacy process at all. We are here to function as South African Jewish community, as I said, doing the best we can in the interests of our own country.